around, everybody knows everything that's in those files. But in the meantime, we're going to try to talk to Maxwell, and we have a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll get some answers.
Are you going to the White House?
Whether it's right or wrong, it's time to go after people. Obama's been caught directly. So people say, oh, you know, a group. It's not a group. It's Obama.
Donald Trump is in full flip-out lying mode again over Barack Obama, which has always been one of his main obsessions in life. And now to distract from Jeffrey Epstein, which he can't do. He can't escape the Epstein thing, in part because members of his own party are talking about it all the time. The Jeffrey Epstein files at some point have to be released, and even when they are, it blows this story up again when they're released. So here you have a situation where Donald Trump has to navigate something he can't stop in the news. He's desperately
where were they over the last 4 years? It's funny that MSNBC asked J.B. Raskin that, and he started stuttering around. Well, we were busy on other stuff. Oh, give me a break. Raskin, my God, good grief. But look, this is a transparent administration, and I think that they're going to be transparent with all this. So hopefully by the time September rolls around, everybody knows everything that's in those files. But in the meantime, we're going to try to talk to Maxwell, and we have a lot of questions, and hopefully we'll get some answers.
Are you going to the White House?
I am. That's where I'm going. That's where I get my bag. My wife is in a hotel, and I'm going to get her, and we're going to go to the White House.
It sounds like the reception's pretty informed, or pretty, like, you know, you can talk to a lot of people. Do you want to bring this up to the people at the White House? The Epstein issue of it all, and releasing everything?
I mean, if it's brought up, I'll talk about it. But I don't know that that'll be the topic of conversation tonight. Look, we the president said he's going to release everything, and I take him at his word.
Is this still dividing Republicans, this issue?
No, the Republicans want to release the Epstein files. Republicans are curious, just like Democrats and every average American. We want to know what's in the Epstein files, and look, we represent our people. And let me assure you, our people, whether they're liberal or conservative, they want to know what was going on that Epstein Island. So it's overwhelming support in America to release what information that can be released. If you've got young people's names or people that are under investigation, I completely understand not releasing that. But I think you can't just say, well, there's nothing there. We'll release what you have in the grand jury. That whatever's sealed in the grand jury, I think that's a good step. So I think we're moving in the right direction on this.
Mr. Comer, what's the difference between Republicans?
Maybe a month. This was an issue for the Democrats for years, and they didn't do it. So look, let's just be transparent, get this off the table, and let the American people know the truth.
So then what's the holdup, I guess? Like, why cancel?
I don't know. Anything in court. She's still in court. She's still in appeal. So it's a challenge.
But even with the House schedule this week, you're saying Republicans
I don't know. I'm just
but if you're all on the same page, why not put the resolution on the floor?
I don't know how to answer that. You have to ask that to Mike Johnson or Scalise.
I mean, Democrats obviously supported that unanimously. But I just want to make something really clear, which I think is really important. We should welcome the truth and as much information as possible. We should be looking and continue to push for a full release of the files. I think it's important for people to know that she obviously is a documented liar and someone that has caused enormous harm to young girls and women. And so I just want to be clear that this is not, we want her to be able to come forward. We support that, but we should also be very concerned about what she is going to say and how Donald Trump and his Department of Justice is going to try to influence that decision. Those things are really important.
On the Trump, the Trump administration is now interviewing Ghislaine Maxwell. There's talks about there. Are you worried that there is any kind of hints that there could be a plea deal, a way for her to get out, or a pardon?
First of all, to be clear, she obviously wants to be free, and she understands that there's opportunity in her in working with Donald Trump and what she says. And so I think we just have to be aware of that. We should still want as much information out there as possible. We should still want to have her come testify in front of oversight in the Congress. But we should just understand that this is a very complex witness and someone that has caused great harm and not a good person to a lot of people.
So what role do you think oversight will play in getting more information on these files, on this whole issue?
I think the important thing is that Donald Trump is still hiding and going back on his main campaign promise. And so we still, separate of her possible testimony in front of Congress, we need the Department of Justice to work with the White House, to work with Congress, and declassify and release the full Epstein files. And that's still not happening right now. So that's our focus, is why did he do such a huge turnaround, especially when now he's admitting that he's in those files in some way. We know that to be true. That's already public record. And so we're going to continue. We're not going to stop pushing for that release. Jim Comer and the Oversight Committee, the only person's health that they're obsessed with in this country is Joe Biden's. They're cutting healthcare from 17 million people, and they want to keep focusing back on how Joe Biden is doing or how he was doing back when he was president. I think it's time to move on and actually forward and focus on actually a forward-looking agenda. And they're obsessed with Joe Biden. He's not the president anymore. Let's move on.
It is amazing
Thanks,
to
guys.
watch the Democrats not completely win in this moment in terms of the communication strategy. Remember that in the back of 2018, they sure as hell had a communication strategy against now Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh. This is really the same type of story. And if Ghislaine Maxwell ends up testifying in Congress, one would think that the powers that be in the Democratic Party, SKDK and all that, would come out again with the survivors of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein and do the same PR that they did then. It always has amazed me that the Democratic Party was always harder against their own Al Franken, Justin Fairfax, whoever it was, despite having any evidence, which there was no evidence. And then when it's a Republican like Donald Trump, they're not there. And you can see this with the New York Times as well. That is really strange in this moment because we're talking about sex trafficking. We're talking about sexual violence. And it just amazes me the difference to watch the New York Times in particular and the Democratic Party on this subject that they were so into in 2018 and 2017. We'll see if they turn it on. Again, I'm not seeing it so far. This is Lauren Burke. I'll be back soon.